Part 18. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Faye. Chapter 172. Chapter 172 Don't waste your temper with the mentally retarded. Chapter 7. Bimweo suddenly exclaimed. They saw a horse suddenly appearing out of nowhere in front of them. Hurling wildly in the field, the horse's hooves trampled wildly, throwing up a burst of sand and dust. Then, it unexpectedly rushed towards them, and the horse's hooves were facing Liju. Bimweo didn't have time to think too much. His pupils shrank suddenly, and he blurted out faster than his brain, "Boss, be careful." Liju's eyes suddenly darkened, and his body subconsciously flashed and rolled on the spot, avoiding the trampling of the horse's hooves. "Boss, are you okay?" Bimweo quickly ran over and helped her up. "Fine." Liju moved his wrist and found that there was a scratch on the palm of his hand caused by a stone. She looked at the mad horse and asked with a cold voice, "Where did this horse come from? Quick, 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 catch it." At this moment, a woman with a riding crop ran over and ordered the staff behind her, "Catch it, I have to teach this beast a lesson today." The woman has a beautiful face, wearing a red tights and marten boots. But the arrogance between her eyebrows makes her look particularly mean. Liju narrowed his eyes, walked up to her, and asked, "Did you let this horse out?" Then the woman's eyes fell on her. After looking up and down, she hummed from her nostrils and asked the person behind her, "Didn't you say that the venue is reserved for today? How come all the casual people can come?" The staff behind her hesitated. The idle people in her mouth were obviously talking about Liju. Bimweo was the first to be unable to bear it anymore and stepped forward. "Miss, please pay attention to the attitude of your words. It was obviously you who almost hurt someone by riding your horse first. Who gave you the confidence to speak like this?" The woman glanced at her and sneered, "Who did I think it was? Isn't this the big star? What's his name? Oh, I forgot, can even celebrities come to a place like this these days?" Bimweo almost laughed out of anger, and his tone of voice was no longer polite. "Ms. Madam, your eyes are not so big for breathing. Please open your eyes and see clearly. We are the ones booking the show today, and you are the one waiting around." Bimweo deliberately stressed the last four words, for fear that the woman would not be able to hear them clearly. At any rate, he is someone who has been at war with countless online fans for many years, and he is not lenient at all when it comes to criticizing people. The woman's face turned pale, and then turned livid again. She has some relationship with the owner of this race course. She wanted to come here on a whim today, but was told that the race course had been reserved. She talked for a long time before finally convincing the man to let her come in and play for a while. Who knew she would meet the person who booked the venue, and he was a star? The woman was panicking, but she still didn't show it on her face. She said loudly, "Since you are a star, how can you speak in such a weird way?" Adhering to the principle of not getting angry with the mentally retarded, Bimweo asked, "Then what do you think I should do? Should I give this place to you selflessly? Who gives you the face? You dash." The woman's face turned red with anger. "Besides," Bimweo continued, "my friend was injured because of your deliberate horse riding. Shouldn't you apologize?" The woman glanced at Liju's hand and whispered, "Isn't it just a scratch? It's not like he's going to die." "What did you say?" Bimweo squeezed out a few words through his teeth. She was really angry this time. End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Faye. Chapter 173. Chapter 173 Apologizing to a Horse. "What, do you still want to hit someone?" The woman snorted softly when she saw Bimweo glaring at her fiercely. She wanted to see how a celebrity dared to attack people in public. Bimweo sneered, clenching his fingers and making a clicking sound. To be honest, under the influence of Li Ju over the years, although her temper has become a bit more grumpy, her tolerance limit is still quite high. But after seeing this woman this time, her violent temper was almost uncontrollable. She was right, she just wanted to do it. Baimweo was about to raise his hand to slap the woman, but was pushed down by Li Ju. Baimweo looked at Li Ju in confusion, and the latter took a step forward and slapped him. Ah dash! The woman screamed, her body became unstable and she fell to the ground. The staff behind her were stunned. Everything happened so fast that there was no time to react. Li Ju retracted her hand, moved her wrist, and raised an evil smile on her lips. Is it because I look so talkative that it gives you the illusion that I'm easy to bully? Baimweo is a star, so it's not easy for her to do anything about it. It's better for her to do this kind of thing herself. I originally wanted to be a low-key Buddhist and be a good person, but some short-sighted people always hit her. The woman covered her face, her eyes filled with disbelief and anger. How dare you hit me? Her parents have never laid a hand on her, how dare she hit her? Li Ju looked at her condescendingly, with no emotion in his eyes. You've been beaten, but you still ask me if I dare. You dash. The woman struggled to stand up and pointed at Li Ju with trembling fingers. Do you know who I am? Li Ju raised his eyebrows and asked, then do you know who I am? The tone is the same, arrogant and domineering, a perfect copy. The woman just opened her mouth to say something, but Li Ju stepped forward, grabbed her hair, and dragged her to the side of the out-of-control horse. Baimweo on the side was almost stunned by her actions. He twitched the corner of his mouth and thought to himself, the boss is still the boss, why does she need to take the lead? Li Ju firmly controlled the struggling woman under his hands, pointed at the horse and said, apologize to it. What did you say? The woman's hair was pulled up, as if her throat was being strangled, and she couldn't move at all. She was so suppressed that her face turned red. Hearing Li Ju's crazy words, she couldn't help but scream. Is this person sick? Tell her to apologize to a horse? Are you deaf? Li Ju hummed 3 words from his throat, pointed at the horse with his slender fingers, and said, were all the wounds on its body caused by you? It is not obvious at first, but if you look a little closer, you will find many crisscross whip marks on the horse's butt. And it seems to have lasted a long time, so it's not a new injury at all. Combined with what this woman did, the source of these injuries is already obvious. So what, if the beast is disobedient? Of course it needs to be disciplined. A woman is stubborn and refuses to apologize. What a joke. If she really does this, will she still hang out in the industry if word spreads? Beast. Li Ju sneered, and the temperature of his body suddenly dropped. That's really a pity, I don't think you can even compare to a beast. It is said that the structure of the human brain and the large intestine are similar. She thought that this woman was probably born with the 2 parts growing backwards. Let me go. Do you believe that I can make it impossible for you to survive in Ankan with just 1 word? The woman's hoarse shout suddenly rang in his ears, and Li Ju picked his ears. Sorry, she doesn't go to Ankan, but to Daijing. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Fei. Chapter 174. Chapter 174, There are no duplicates in the way you torture people. Baimweo watched from the side without the slightest objection to Li Ju's actions. All things have animism, so why can humans whip other animals wantonly? What's more, the boss has special feelings for horses. After all, it was a horse that carried her out of the siege when she was isolated and helpless. It can be said that the horse saved Li Ju's life. This woman was so cruel to the horse, no wonder the boss would be so angry. Baimweo was calm, but the staff who followed the woman couldn't be calm. The boss told them to take good care of this ant. But who would have thought that she would be pulled by her hair and forced to apologize to a horse? Although she did this all by herself, if the boss finds out, then they will definitely be the unlucky ones. All the staff looked at Li Ju with complicated eyes, but no one dared to step forward to stop her. They had to stand on the ground and look at each other, at a loss. "You won't apologize, right?" Li Ju asked. "Are you stupid?" The woman was driven crazy. "Isn't it just a beast?" "As for?" Li Ju raised his eyebrows, with a sneer on his lips. He threw the woman onto the horse with a strong force. Ah! The sudden situation made the woman scream in pain. Her whole body was lying directly across the horse, and her ribs were almost broken. She raised her head with difficulty, only to see Li Ju jump onto the horse and press his thigh on her back, making it even harder for her to breathe. The next second, before she had time to think, the horse rushed out like an arrow from its string, raising dust all over the place. Ah! The air echoed with the woman's repeated screams, and the sound shook the sky. Li Ju frowned at the noise. It was a pity that this person didn't sing. The woman now feels that she is about to die. She was shaken so hard that her heart and lungs were about to be vomited out. But he tilted his head downwards, all the blood filled his whole brain for a while, and his brain went blank, and he didn't know what night it was. In this half-conscious and half-conscious state, Li Ju led her to run around the field 3 times. During this period, the horse seemed to recognize who she was and threw her down desperately. If Li Ju hadn't pulled her up at the last moment every time, she might really have become a dead soul under the horse's hooves. The blood on the woman's face faded, her lips turned white and trembled slightly. Her eyes gradually lost focus and became blurry and hollow. The only thing left was fear. After 3 laps, Li Ju pulled the reins and dismounted neatly, but the woman fell off with a plop. The staff behind her quickly helped her up when she saw this, but her legs seemed to have been denerved and turned into a soft mess, making it impossible to stand up. Her whole body seemed to be exhausted, without even a point of strength. "Just now I could be loud and arrogant, but now it's a little difficult to speak out." She looked at Li Ju with deep fear in her eyes, as if she was looking at a devil from the underworld. She used all her strength to say to the staff, "Go quickly. She doesn't want to stay here anymore. I don't want to see Li Ju anymore." A group of people fled the scene as if they were being caught by ghosts. Baimweo clicked his tongue twice when he saw this. "Boss, your methods of torturing people are really endless. Over the years, there is no repetition of any pattern." "Deserve it?" Li Ju uttered 2 words, then walked to the horse and gently stroked its mane. End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Fei. Chapter 175. Chapter 175 Falling off the horse. "Do you really think I'm a soft persimmon?" Baimweo chuckled. "Can you be a soft persimmon with bulletproof glass? Hand slap people to death?" Li Ju glanced at her sideways. Baimweo immediately focused his attention on the horse. "Boss, what are you going to do with it?" Li Ju stroked the horse and said, "This horse looks good, has a good physique, and I like its temperament. This is the rhythm to be bought." Baimweo raised his eyebrows. "It can be seen that he has a good physique. As for his temper? Boss, are you not blind? Just now when you were riding it to pass that woman around, this horse almost knocked you to death. Although the big factor is still the woman. But she also saw that this horse had a very strong temper. If Li Ju hadn't been good at equestrian skills, he might have been thrown off by it and broken into pieces. Most people would have stayed away from it long ago, but they still like it. I can only say that Li Ju's preferences are too weird." "You are really?" Baimweo said sincerely. "What is it really?" Bai Yuxiu's voice came unexpectedly from behind. Bimweo immediately changed the words on the tip of his tongue, changing the same as before into different, sister-in-law. Liju, who witnessed her series of face changes with his own eyes, slightly raised the corners of his lips. Bimweo turned around and saw Chi Jinkai and Bai Yuxiu already behind her. "Brother, do you walk silently?" she was shocked. And Liju. She must have seen them coming, but she didn't warn her, almost revealing her secret. "You and your sister-in-law were too engrossed in chatting and didn't notice us. By the way, where did this horse come from?" Bai Yuxiu asked. Chi Jinkai saw Liju's hand that was still bleeding with sharp eyes, and frowned tightly. "What's wrong with your hand?" As soon as the words came out, Bai Yuxiu also looked at Liju and was immediately surprised. "Sister-in-law? Why are you injured? How long had they been gone before she got hurt? Could it be that he fell while riding a horse? Sister-in-law, did you fall off your horse?" Bai Yuxiu didn't look much like Liju, but he couldn't find any other reason other than this explanation. Bimweo snorted softly, "It would be better if I really fell off the horse. There is no need to meet a mentally retarded person." Chi Jinkai's eyes darkened. What happened? At the same time, the woman just now was helped to the rest area by the staff. Her face was pale, her hair was messy, and there was cold sweat on her forehead, sticking to her face, like a female ghost. As for the cold sweat, it was half scary and half painful. My whole body felt like it was falling apart, and I could feel the faint pain when I gasped. She gritted her teeth and tried not to let out a cry of pain, lest she lose her image in front of others. But in his heart, he kept scolding Liju all the time. One day, she will definitely let her taste her power. Let Liju kneel in front of him and beg for mercy. Let her. "Ning Ning, what's wrong with you?" A shocked voice came out, and a pair of high-end leather shoes suddenly appeared in his sight. Moving up the suit trouser legs, she saw the man's familiar face. At that moment, sadness and grievance instantly filled my chest, and my tears fell uncontrollably. I cried so heartbreakingly that I felt so pitiful. You brother Chi, will you When the man saw this, he wanted to put her in his arms and comfort her, but when he saw that her clothes seemed to have rolled in the mud, he frowned, retracted his hand, and said softly, "Ning Ning, stop crying, be good, and tell me, who bullied you?" Speaking, his eyes were fierce. End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Fei. Chapter 176. Chapter 176 Applying the medicine yourself. Jianning cried and threw herself at Kifeng, who had to catch her now even if he didn't want to. "You have to make the decision for me." Jianning howled hysterically, completely unaware of Kifeng's face that darkened for a moment because of her actions. It only took a moment, and he, who had always strictly controlled his expression, quickly returned to his normal expression. "Okay, stop crying, Ning Ning, tell me slowly, what's going on?" He took out a handkerchief from his coat pocket and wiped the tears on her face tenderly and meticulously. He didn't care about her current embarrassment at all. He was so focused that she was the only one reflected in his dark pupils. Jianning was stunned for a moment, not knowing what to say. As a second-generation rich man, Chi Feng is not a good-looking guy. In terms of looks, any young guy in the entertainment industry can outshine him. But he looks very clean, has a considerate temper, and never blushes. When he looks at you, you are all in his eyes, as if you are his world. And he has a deep family background. His father left him a large fortune, enough for him to spend his whole life. Such a man, even though she has a rich relationship history, has never met him before. So, he should be considered one of the few boyfriends she has ever treated sincerely. Jianning lowered her eyes and felt a sense of grievance in her heart. She told him what had just happened, and even made it more jealous, completely hiding the fact that she had hit someone with her horse. After hearing this, Chi Feng looked slightly angry. That's too much. There are still such people. He clenched his fists and stood up suddenly. He wanted to argue with Li Ju, but Jianning pretended to hold him back. Wait, brother Chi, don't go, you are no match for her, I'm afraid you will suffer a loss. Chi Feng smiled, patted her hand to comfort her, and said, don't worry, I'm just arguing with her, not fighting with her. After saying that, he pulled Jianning's hand away, turned around and walked out. Behind him was Jianning's proud gaze. Ah! I see that you have offended the number one tycoon of Anja, why are you still hanging around here from now on? Li Ju. She raised her chin, raised her hand to the staff on the side, and said, come here, help me up. Over there, Qi Jinkai stared at the blood stain on Li Ju's palm with a cold face, his eyes flickering, not knowing what he was thinking. Li Ju felt a little uncomfortable staring at him and moved his hands behind his back. Unexpectedly, Qi Jinkai stepped forward and grabbed her wrist. Li Ju. Li Ju slowly made a question mark in his heart. What is he going to do? But Qi Jinkai suddenly lowered his head, getting closer and closer to her hand, and his warm breath fell softly on her hand. Li Ju took a breath. Qi Jinkai suddenly raised his head and said to Bai Yuxiu, go get the medicine box. Bai Yuxiu and Bai Muiu were stunned by his actions. As soon as he spoke, Bai Yuxiu came back to his senses and twitched the corner of his mouth. He really knew how to care for his wife. Humiliated as he was, Bai Yuxiu went to the staff and asked for the medicine box. Li Ju just wanted to say thank you, so he took out his hand and applied the medicine himself. Unexpectedly, Qi Jinkai suddenly increased his intensity and controlled her tightly. Li Ju twitched his hand, but it didn't move. He was confused. What does this mean? The next second, Qi Jinkai grabbed her hand, opened the medicine box, and methodically took out alcohol, cotton, gauze, scissors, and then clean her wounds and apply medicine. Li Ju. Is he really normal today? Bai Yuxiu. Being blinded. Bai Muiu. This wave of ruthless dog food was caught off guard. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy Enfe. Chapter 177. Chapter 177. There is a camera. Feeling a refreshing and cool feeling on his hand, Li Ju stared blankly at Qi Jinkai's lowered eyebrows, feeling dazed for a moment. He is. Time seemed to stand still for a moment. Li Ju felt that her heartbeat was inexplicably speeding up, and a strange feeling surged into her limbs. Qi Jinkai concentrated on treating her wound, and finally put a band-aid on it. All right. Li Ju raised his hand and looked at the band-aid, looking a little speechless. I think back then, she was stabbed in the abdomen, the blood flowed uncontrollably, and she was not bandaged. Nowadays, a little scrape actually needs a band-aid. Simply. The wound will heal if you apply it slower. Li Ju's face was slightly distorted. Qi Jinkai did not notice anything strange about her, and warned her in a deep voice, be careful in the future. Li Ju. Why does this tone of voice sound so much like speaking to a primary school student? Oh. Seeing that she was obedient, Qi Jinkai twitched the corners of his mouth and revealed a smile. Third brother, it's not my fault that my sister-in-law was careless. Someone deliberately let the horse ride. Qi Jinkai frowned, his eyes fell on Bai Muiu, and his tone was slightly condensed. Who? Bai Muiu curled his lips and snorted coldly, a fool who made a squealing sound even after his horse hit someone. He had to be taught a lesson by his sister-in-law before he became honest. But I think she will definitely come back to cause trouble. I have to say that Baimwe really knows Jian quite well. Brother Chi, it's them. Jian charming voice seemed to make people sick to death. Jian held Kifeng's arm coquettishly and jumped up and down. She thought she was very impressive and walked towards Li Ju, trying to regain her place. Unexpectedly, he saw Qi Jinkai, and he was stunned for a moment. This man is good looking. With his light gray phoenix eyes, deep and handsome facial features, and the noble and cold temperament exuding from his whole body, he is like a descendant of an immortal descending to earth. She is simply stunning in the world. But how could such a man stay with Li Ju? Jian saw Qi Jinkai and Li Ju standing together, and the jealousy in her eyes almost overflowed. Since the first time she saw Qi Jinkai, Jian eyes seemed to have grown on him and could never come down again. Staring at her naked and sticky eyes, Qi Jinkai felt like something dirty was wrapped around him, and the pressure around him sank, and he said coldly, "Who are you?" Qi Feng was startled. He didn't expect that the woman Ning was talking about would have a man with such a powerful aura around her. It was almost overwhelming. At that moment, he restrained his anger and arrogance when he arrived, and his attitude became much more respectful. But he still had a tone of accountability. "Sir, my Ning said that this young lady bullied her just now. I wonder if this is the case." Qi Feng pointed at Li Ju. Li Ju raised his eyebrows. Are they bringing reinforcements back? But unfortunately, it seems that the effect will not be very great. She said, "It's me, what?" Seeing that Li Ju dared to admit it, Qi Feng immediately became angry. "Miss, I wonder where Ning offended you. You actually did this to her." Qi Feng's eyes were filled with anger, and he stared at Li Ju gloomily. "My Qi family also has shares in this race course, miss. If you don't apologize to Ning, I will hold you accountable." Li Ju raised his eyebrows. "Oh, I want to see how you pursue it." Qi Feng snorted coldly and said, "I'm afraid you don't know that there are cameras everywhere here, and your every move is under surveillance." As soon as these words came out, Li Ju's expression did not change, but Jian face immediately turned pale. End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy Enfe. Chapter 178. Chapter 178 Get Out. Li Ju suddenly laughed twice, stretched out his hands and clapped, "Okay, let's quickly check the surveillance camera, right?" Qi Feng frowned, as if he didn't expect Li Ju to be so confident. "But dash." Li Ju's smile faded slightly. "I'm afraid you still don't know that it was your good friend Ning who caused the horse to hurt someone first. How should I be held responsible for this?" Qi Feng's expression changed, and he suddenly looked to his side, and as expected, he saw Jian pale face. My heart sank a little. Ning, is she telling the truth?" Jian bit her lower lip and refused to make a sound. Seeing her like this, Qi Feng was already very convinced, and his face became even more ugly. He never thought that if he helped her out, he would have such a result. Whoever it was, I'm afraid he wouldn't be in a good mood. Qi Feng wanted to leave, but Jian quickly grabbed his clothes. "Brother Qi." His eyes were filled with grievances, and he looked at Qifeng pitifully, which made his heart soften half a piece. Qi Feng coughed lightly and said, "It was her fault that Ning rode the horse. I apologize for her, but you made Ning like this. Don't you have something to say?" "What do you think I need to say?" Li Ju asked. "Apologize to Ning. You put dash." Before Li Ju could respond, Baimwe stopped and blurted out two words. Out of the corner of his eye, he happened to catch a glimpse of Bai Yuxiu looking at her. Baimwe paused and had to swallow the word fart. To everyone's surprise, Li Ju nodded, "Okay." "What?" Bai Yuxiu suddenly shouted in surprise. He didn't expect that Li Ju actually agreed. This is not in line with her character. Qi Jinkai also frowned and looked at her. Li Ju continued, "You can ask me to apologize, but there is a prerequisite. She stretched out her slender finger and pointed at Jianning. I must apologize to Xiaobai first. Who is Xiaobai? Kifeng asked. Several other people were also confused. Where is there any novice? What's more, it doesn't sound like a personal name. As expected, Li Ju put his index finger to his lips and whistled loudly. She heard the white horse that was still strolling not far away suddenly running towards her and stopping in front of her. Li Ju touched its head and said, "That's it?" Bai Mui's lips twitched, her boss's naming method was still so special. Xiao Bai is pretty good. If it had been before, she would have even thought of the name Bai Longma. Qi Feng's eyes darkened and he looked at Li Ju with an unkind expression. Are you playing with us? Apologizing to a horse? Does she think they are fools? Mr. Qi, please recognize the reality. It was Ning Ning who you said often abused this horse, which caused it to suddenly go crazy. Now you want to blame it on me. Do you think I am easy to bully? With the last few words, everyone present clearly felt that the aura around Li Ju suddenly became cold and awe-inspiring. Kifeng's expression changed. Qi Jinkai on the side finally couldn't wait to speak. You made a mistake first, but you got up and raised an army to accuse me. Who will give you face? Sir, we are not. Seeing Qi Jinkai speak, Jianning couldn't help but defend herself, but it sounded feeble. Qi Jinkai has no patience to talk nonsense with them anymore. He doesn't have the good temper like Li Ju. Roll. Qi Feng's face turned as black as the bottom of a pot. In his entire life, no one has ever told him to get out. End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy Enfei. Chapter 179. Chapter 179. Apologize to Third Master. Qifeng was in a hurry. Oops, what's going on? It was at this moment that the real owner of the place showed up. Perhaps because he came over in such a hurry, a layer of sweat broke out on his forehead, making his already slightly chubby face look extremely greasy. He ran up to Qi Jinkai with an apologetic smile on his face. Third Master, what's going on? Why are you so angry? Uncle Qi, if I remember correctly, this should be your nephew, right? Qi Jinkai raised his eyelids and looked at Kifeng. Qi Boyi looked along his line of sight and his breath suddenly stagnated. Just now he was processing the documents for the past 2 days, and the staff came in a panic and said that Qi Jinkai had a dispute with someone. This race course was opened for fun when he was bored. It had not yet been put into operation. He heard that Mr. Qi and Mr. Bai had arrived in Anken. Since they had been partners for many years, he specially invited them to come here to relax. Who knew something like this would happen? He immediately put down the urgent matter at hand and came over, for fear of offending this gentleman in some way. What I didn't expect was that the person who offended Qi Jinkai seemed to be his nephew. Qi Boyi felt that his breathing was a little faster. He suppressed his emotions and said, Feng, what's going on? Qi Feng was obviously stunned when he saw Qi Boyi, especially after hearing his address to Qi Jinkai. His face turned pale instantly. He is usually a bit too playful instead of doing his job, but he is not a fool. He still knows the importance of the name Qi Sanyi. I just didn't expect that he would bump into me today. Qi Feng hesitated and couldn't speak. Qi Boyi's face darkened, and he was going to be angry to death with this nephew who didn't know how to measure. I have been hanging out with those bad friends all day long, without thinking about the right path at all, and now I am causing trouble and getting into trouble. Looking at Jianning beside Qi Feng, he recognized her as the daughter of a rich family who had been close to Qi Feng recently, and immediately snorted, "Have you changed your girlfriend again?" As soon as these words came out, the color on Jianning's little face instantly faded. Her last boyfriend broke up with her because he went abroad. She met Kifeng at a friend's birthday party. Qi Feng also suited her very well, and the two of them established their relationship directly. Rich second generations like them have always had a chaotic love life. Everyone has their own circle. They usually get together when they have nothing to do, and have fun with whoever they like. When they get tired of it, they just break up. It's no big deal. But it was a bit embarrassing to be told so openly by an elder. "Uncle, this is Ning Ning," Chi Feng introduced. "I don't care whether you are peaceful or safe. Didn't I tell you not to cause trouble?" Chi Feng was dissatisfied. "Uncle, it's obvious that they bullied Ning Ning. Chi Jinkai, young Master Chi is really good at raking the ground. My fiancé's hand is still injured. Do you want to see it?" Upon hearing this, Chi Boy suddenly felt his eyes darkening and his head buzzing. "I have long heard that the third master has a fiancée, and he is very concerned about her. Looking at the situation today, his unfilial nephew not only offended the third master, but also hurt the third master's fiancée. Why doesn't he go to heaven?" Chi Boy sternly scolded. "Chi Feng, apologize to the third master." Seeing that his usually good-tempered uncle was angry, Chi Feng finally calmed down and didn't say a word no matter how Jian Ning pulled his sleeve. The look he had just now was gone. He lowered his head and gritted his teeth and said, "Third master, I'm sorry." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy and Fei. Chapter 180. Chapter 180, picked up a girl in the blink of an eye. A moderate farce ended with his "I'm sorry." After that, Chi Boy took Kifeng home and gave his parents a good education. As for Jianning, except Chi Feng, no one paid attention to her at all. But this time, Chi Feng could not protect herself, and she was taught like that by Li Ju, so she did not dare to make any more trouble. On the way back, Bai Muo sighed. "It's really disappointing, and I'm going to encounter a mental retardation on the road." Bai Yuxiu nodded and added, "Idiots occur every year, but this year there are especially many." Chi Jinkai suddenly interrupted, "I'm going to see another mentally retarded person tomorrow." Bai Yuxiu. Bai Muo. Li Ju. Li Ju looked confused. "What?" Seeing that she had completely forgotten it, Chi Jinkai reminded her, "Lin's annual party." With these words, Bai Yuxiu's expression became very subtle. He also remembered that the mentally retarded person sent him and Bai Muo an invitation as if he didn't think it was disgusting enough, which made him still feel sick in his stomach when he thought about it. Li Ju saw that Bai Yuxiu looked wrong and asked, "You want to go too?" Bai Yuxiu grimaced. The air pressure around his body was very low, like a dark cloud covering his head. He knew what was going on without even thinking about it. Instead, it was Bai Muo who said, "Well, he said he wanted to invite us to the town hall." "Li Ju, are you sure you're not causing trouble? This Lin Yan is probably not very smart." Since the scandal between him and Bai Muo broke out on the internet, Bai Yuxiu, a level 10 girl, wanted to kill him with a knife. Instead of avoiding him, he bumped into him. Li Ju exchanged glances with Bai Muo in private. Suddenly they felt that Lin Yan's rank might not be as high as they imagined. "Can you not go?" Li Ju asked. She has never liked this kind of situation. It can be said that she hates this kind of situation. Chi Jinkai said, "I heard that Lin Yan's sister has just returned from abroad and will also attend this annual meeting." "Oh." Chi Jinkai. Chi Jinkai coughed lightly and said, "Lin Yan once hinted that his sister might be interested in me." Li Ju tugged at the corner of her mouth. "Huh? So you want me to pick peach blossoms for you?" "Chi Jinkai, there's nothing wrong with your understanding." Li Ju sighed deeply and said, "You should learn to be self-reliant in this kind of thing." Besides, she couldn't even pinch her own peach blossoms, so how could she have time to care about him? Chi Jinkai, then is your fiancé just a decoration? Isn't it? Forget it, just say so. Bai Yuxiu rarely sees Chi Jinkai showing signs of weakness, but when he saw him now, he couldn't help but laugh. Chi Jinkai glanced at him, and the latter immediately retracted his smile. Feeling the look from Chi Jinkai, Bai Yuxiu tried to make amends. Actually, third brother, you don't have to worry. Lin Yan's sister shouldn't do anything to you in broad daylight. I heard that she brought a girl from abroad this time. The nominal boyfriend is back. What is his name? Ji Huai. Li Ju and Bai Muiu stopped at the same time. Who are you talking about? Bai Muiu asked in disbelief. Ji Huai, is that your name? I heard that he is also the CEO of MZ. Bai Muiu. Li Ju. It seems that he is the person they were thinking of. I heard him right. Li Ju squinted his eyes, a dangerous emotion flashing across his eyes. She asked him to stay in S continent and keep an eye on the situation. How could he come back after picking up a girl in the blink of an eye? Very good, she didn't want to go at first, but now she has changed her mind. This man is really quite capable. I haven't seen him for a few days and he's already hanging out with a rich woman. The sister of Lin Yan, the richest man in Anken, is not a rich woman. Li Ju's mouth curved slightly, revealing a cool smile. Whether it was because her salary was too small or Lin Yan's sister gave him enough money. Get ready to peel off the skin for her. End of this chapter. She always loves to sleep. Author, Guy Enfe. Chapter 181. Chapter 181 Li Ju, am I not a woman? Li Ju had a cold smile on her lips, and the surrounding temperature suddenly became very low. Bai Muiu's mouth twitched. Why is that guy Ji Huai so obsessed with death? Isn't this world worth lingering on? Isn't it good to be alive? The CEO of MZ, how could he fall in love with Lin Yan's sister? Li Ju's tone contained emotions that were difficult to detect. Ji Huai's reputation has never been very good. I heard that he is suitable for both men and women, Bai Yu said. He and Lin Yao seem to be from the same university. It's not surprising that they are seniors and juniors. Li Ju, that's it, then I'd like to take a look. The final sound of the last word is prolonged, which has an inexplicable meaning that makes people shudder. When Bai Muiu saw Li Ju like this, he knew that Ji Huai was really doomed this time. Sympathizing with someone in her heart for a second, she said, "Third brother, have you prepared a dress for my sister-in-law? You must have a uniform to win a peach blossom, right?" Li Ju glanced at her sideways, and Bai Muiu immediately shut up. Oops, I forgot that the boss hates dresses and skirts. Chi Jinkai glanced at her and said, "Don't worry. The annual meeting seems to be particularly lively this year, for the same reason. This time Lin Yan was very generous and booked a resort so that everyone could experience the sea view of Anzong before boarding the ship. At night, the moonlight is dim. The lights on the boat were brightly lit and there was a lot of noise. People were coming and going in the hall, talking and socializing with each other. Li Ju wore a low-key black tight-fitting dress and high heels of more than 10 centimeters, and entered the hall holding Chi Jinkai's arm. Don't get me wrong, it's not that she wants to appear close to Chi Jinkai. It was because she was wearing these high heels that she couldn't walk at all. With every step I took, my ankles were about to break. The woman's soft little hands hit her arm and grabbed it hard, as if she was holding onto a support point. Chi Jinkai looked at Li Ju's frown and asked, "Aren't you used to it?" "Nonsense, come and try." Li Ju gritted his teeth secretly. This person really wanted to see her make a fool of herself, right? Such a high heel, is it for her to perform acrobatics? As a woman, do you still have sprained feet when wearing high heels? Look at Muyu. Li Ju looked back and saw that behind them, Bai Muiu was also holding Bai Yuxiu's hand. The difference is that the heels of the shoes on Bai Muiu's feet are higher than hers, but she wears them as if for fun. The sharp heels stepped on the porcelain white floor tiles, as if they were about to crack a crack in the ground. Li Ju. Why should she compete with a woman who can use high heels as a weapon? All women love high heels, you. Chi Jinkai looked her up and down teasingly, with a smile in his light gray eyes. What does mean? Is she not a woman? Li Ju laughed, let go of Chi Jinkai's hand, lifted up her skirt, and walked forward. After taking only a few steps, he staggered and almost fell over. Thanks to Chi Jinkai's sharp eyesight and quick hands, he reached out with his long legs and scooped her into his arms, holding her steady with both arms. Okay, I'm sorry, it's my fault. Li Ju withdrew from his arms, looked up at him, and said, I can't tell, Third Master really understands women. We all know that women like high heels, which is very different from the wooden pile in the rumors. The smile on Chi Jinkai's face froze. I don't like women getting close, but I'm not an idiot. There was no common sense at all. What image does he have in her eyes? Li Ju curled her lips and looked around casually, only to see everyone stopped what they were doing and stared at her and Chi Jinkai in shock. Li Ju. So just now, they all saw the way she almost fell to pieces. End of this chapter.